Hey, let us assume we were tasked to create a new clinical trial system for Novartis and could optimize only one of the following three. 1. Best technology. 2. Best development process framework that ever existed. Or 3. Best people. Let's further assume that whichever of these three we picked, the other two would be of poor quality each. What would you choose? Would you choose to pick a 5-star database product but accept poor process and people? Or would you prefer to pick the latest and greatest solution development process but accept a lower ranked database product and people are not up to the challenge? Well, or would you finally, and in case of doubt, go with the best people and trust they will work out which DB product and process will at least be sufficient? Let me share my own view with you. If there is one single thing I experienced and learned while introducing Novartis architects in the past, internal or external, to architecture in general as well as to Novartis solution architecture practice, then very broadly spoken, there is substantial room for further improvement by better training our architects pool. I believe that the attention we pay to technology, process and people is slightly misbalanced in too many cases. And further, I believe that we need to make a clear effort to develop our architect talent pool now. Therefore, we propose the implementation of a Novartis architecture training framework, including delivery of trainings in an agile and adaptive fashion. Skill comes with training and practice, no matter whether you are massaging a football, as I do here, or whether you want to master architecture. I want to start with a quick reminder of what we achieved in the past. About 8 years ago, I created a comprehensive and clearly architecture-focused training for our colleagues in Japan who felt that they needed to establish more solid and common conceptual ground for their own architects community before they wanted to step into a major renovation program called Mirai. The 4 days intense architecture training we gave was so well received that we continued to offer the architectural thinking training until today. Over those 8 years, the training material was further evolved over weekends, and trainings were provided around the globe to almost all Novartis divisions. Format, size, focus, etc. was kept being tailored to the respective event, while the one thing all trainings shared was me having been the trainer. While the architectural thinking approach we took in the past was really appreciated, there are quite a few downsides to it as well. The biggest of all downsides is certainly the fact that the trainer is a bottleneck when it comes to offering required trainings in a scalable manner. Another downside certainly is that even though non-architect roles would heavily benefit from a better understanding of an architecture function's contribution, its way of thinking, its techniques, own needs and constraints, and so forth, well, that even though PMs, PQMs, OQMs, etc. would greatly benefit from a tailored training channel, the way our current material is being assembled very much optimizes its offer towards a solution architecture community only. There is one more crucial downside, which is the one-offness of our current training offers, obviously also seriously limiting our scalability. It's one thing to once attend a meeting in a sterile and lab environment, but a totally different thing to adopt an architectural mindset over time and practically apply it in concrete Novartis project contexts. There are 3 key principles that constitute the architecture training framework development approach, and I've outlined them here on this slide. The first one you see already down there. It's principle A if you want, and it is about an evolutionary approach to develop the training framework in a demand-driven fashion. Second one is scalability and reusability regarding core architecture training assets. And the last one is role-targeted and community-oriented assembly of concrete training deliverables. We have already started to develop the architecture training framework and come up with the first set of dimensions spanning the framework, as you can see here on the slide. At the top, the targeted audience is reflected by appropriate training use cases that we will distinguish. The bottom part shows different artifact types that we want to make available and support over time, obviously based on capacity, business priority, as well as given demand. The middle part of this framework outlines those architecture disciplines that are in scope, training delivery styles that we plan to support, and last but not least, a framework that helps structuring the broader architecture domain. This framework has proven to be quite helpful and handy when it comes to offer orientation, context, and overview. Please also note that quite a proportion of this whole framework has already been developed, successfully delivered, and experienced based on the architectural thinking training and over the past years. So it's not a virgin journey, but road that we have traveled a lot more than just once. This is our proposed project charter, which more or less just summarizes what we have already looked at. Since we will anyhow have to adopt an evolutionary, iterative and incremental approach to building this out, our bandwidth will determine the speed at which we can go. However, and quite importantly, not to forget, we have not started the whole journey at square one, but we have already traveled quite a bit of that road. Last but not least, I have one call for action to you, since the team is, while being quite agile, still pretty slim. So volunteers who contribute hands-on are obviously more than welcome. Thanks.